This demo is going to go through adding a texture overlay onto a photo, specifically a portrait we can see. You can do this with a selection tool, just like we did with the snowboard picture. In this case, the background is plain, it's white, so we'll see how that affects the image as well. So you're going to open this photo right here. You're going to place, so place embedded, or if you're in Photopea, do open in place. You're going to choose the lights photo. All right, right now it's not big enough, so we're going to drag that out. And if you're in Photopea, make sure you hold Shift as you do this so that we don't distort your image. All right, and then press Enter once you've brought it to the size of the photo. Then we're going to choose a blending mode. So make sure you clicked on the top layer so it blends with the one below it. You can see that all of these are going to have a little different effect. Now with the top ones, it's really focused on blending the background because it's white. Okay, so we can see like a little bit of the color overlaying here where there's still some lighter value. Otherwise, where it's dark, it's not going to put the other picture in there. So this is great if you have a white or light or simple background that way. So all of these work a little bit differently. This one's a little too bright in the corner, but linear burn is awesome and it brings in some really nice color through some of these spots. Now, as we go to the next section down here, all of these are going to affect the dark areas mostly. We can see a little bit in the background. So we can see with the silhouette how this creates this really cool effect of putting the value or the texture on the dark part. And then we can kind of see a little bit in the background because it's kind of gray. Any place where it's white, it's not going to show up. And that's just how these blending modes work. And then these are going to try and generally just go on top of both any part of the image, and it's going to look lighter or darker depending on where it is. So just know like the lights and darks in your picture are going to affect how it looks. I'm just going to go through all of these so you can kind of see what happens. And you'll want to base that on, so if you have a vision, like think about darks and lights in your photo as you're setting it up and what you would want to do where. So in this case, for this one, we're going to choose either darken or linear burn. I think we're going to go with, let's go with darken on this one because I want to show you a couple things. And then, so here we've got a little bit of color in the face because it's not totally black. Where the silhouette is black, it's not going to put any color in there. And then we've got it in the background. All right, next, we want to add a levels. We want to add it just to the lights. So because our lights photo is on top, when we go to levels, if we do it for both pictures, then we're going to lose those nice details that come out in the parts that aren't totally dark. So we want to make sure we do our clipping mask, looks like this in Photoshop, or you're going to right click on it if you're in Photopea and do create clipping mask. So we have that arrow going down. We'll double click on the little icon. And then for the background, we're going to bring it down. It does darken some of the face, but as long as we can still see some of that value in there, that's what we're going for. All right, now, so brought the highlights up just a tiny bit, brought the darks down a little bit, and brought the midtones down a little bit as well, so we can still see some value in there. We're also going to do a hue shift, just so you can see like that you're not stuck with certain colors necessarily. So once again, if we're clicked on that levels, it's going to go, hopefully it should add directly that clipping mask on there. I clicked on hue saturation. So if we kept this at master and we did the hue, right now I need to add my clipping mask to stay. There we go. Then we get that nice color showing up. You could try it without it. And you're just going to get a little bit different effect. Okay, so then you could shift the colors a little bit to get a different effect. I love how it changes the color on the face. Once again, if you just want to change one color, and I'll give you this choice, you can click master. Maybe I want to change, I don't know, just the magentas. Sometimes this works well, sometimes it doesn't. Like if it creates an effect where it's not realistic, in this case, we wouldn't want to keep that for this one. Okay, so let's stay on master, and then you can choose a different color scheme, different colors that you want to show up. All right, the last thing we're going to do is do a little bit of dodge and burn to lighten and darken some areas. So in the background, we could darken it up a little bit just to add a little more contrast. We don't want to get rid of that purple color or whatever color you shifted it to. We still want that color to come through, but if we darken it, it just will create a little balance between the two pictures. Normally when we do this, we want to duplicate the layer and then do our dodge and burn because it's destructive. It's going to change the pixels. However, with this one, because we've added blending modes and we've started to change this, we won't want to duplicate it. Okay, so we're going to do it directly on there. So we're going to click on the lights photo. We're going to darken that just in the dark areas. So we're looking for the hand, the burn tool right here. I'm going to click on that. We're going to go in the shadows because we're going to darken the darkest part. So yours might be on midtone, so click on that. And let's try our exposure at about 20%. So the higher the percentage, the darker it's going to get. I start lower so that you can go over it multiple times to build it up. Otherwise, sometimes it goes a little bit too quickly. Make sure your brush has a soft edge. So once again, we're at about 20%, so that's a gradual change. This may or may not happen for you, but right now it won't let me do it. So I'm going to click on it. It just says the layer needs to be rasterized, so I'm going to say okay to that. I'm going to make my brush bigger with the bracket key, or you can go to the top here and change the size. And then you can just paint over some of these areas to darken them up just a little bit to add more contrast just to certain areas. Then let's go to the background layer. This time we're going to dodge because we want to try and bring out some of the values in the face and the shirt just a little bit more because then we'll get more of that color showing up. So the dodge is the circle with the line coming out. This time we're going to try the midtones. We'll see how that works. I would keep your exposure at about 15% just so you don't take away too much at one time. You can always undo it. And let's bring that hardness down once again. Zoom in a little bit and you can go over the face and some of these areas. Now, it's kind of hard to tell if it's doing anything or not. So what we can do is in our history, we can just click back to whatever we did before the dodge tool, which is the burn. And when we click on that, we can see it changed it. We'll go back to the bottom one and we can see that it did lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to try it in the shadows as well, see if that does anything. What we don't want to happen is for the blacks to look gray. But we want to try and bring out just a little bit of that. So let's go back, click on the burn tool, and go back to our last one, which is the dodge. And it just lightened it up in a few more areas to bring out some color. Just know in your history, it'll save like maybe 20 steps. So if you do this too much, you won't be able to go back. And that's just about viewing it. All right, we've got our final image here. Go ahead and save this as a JPEG.